Hello, good morning to everyone. I was supposed to take this trend analysis session earlier, but because of some health issues, I was on leave for past 15 days. So no problems. Today we will discuss the nature and scope of questions and the change visible this year in UPSC question pattern, right? Those who are appearing next year mains examination, they should understand nature and scope of the question, expected nature and scope of the question. This year there is clear break, from previous years. Like UPSC is not asking or framing questions to allow you to write everything that you know related to the topic. Rather, UPSC is expecting from you to write something related to the topics, right? Not detailings. So I will give examples also to prove this point. Like there are major theoretical strands in sociology, but UPSC asked distinctiveness of feminist method of social research. There are major theoretical strands like functionalism, Marxism, or conflictism. But UPSC asked question related to distinctiveness of feminist method of social research. What is unique about feminism? What are distinctive features of feminism? What are distinct theoretical strands of feminism? Right. So you have to understand this change. Like generally, students while preparing, they expect as per previous year, pattern. If you see previous year question pattern related to major theoretical strands, so there you will find questions like critically examine functionalist tradition in sociology. Does collapse of functionalism and bankruptcy of Marxism coincide with rupture of modernity? Matlab limitations of both functionalism and Marxism we have to write. Methodology is system of rules, principles, and procedures comment. But this year they asked different question, like one particular aspect of methodology, and that is feminist methodology, which is not like a major theoretical strands, I will say, in sociology, right? So you have to understand this change. Next year also question may be asked related to major theoretical strands, the way UPSC asked this year. Question paper 1 ka first question, distinctiveness of feminist method of social research comment. Next year there may be question related to distinctiveness of neo-Marxism or neo-functionalism, right? Similarly, other one more question related to major theoretical strands of research methodology, that you can find in this year question paper. How does the dramaturgical perspective enable our understanding of everyday life? So in this question also, you can see the change in pattern of questioning. Like dramaturgical method is one theoretical strand. I discussed in class also many strands related to symbolic interactionism, like definition of situation, looking glass self, meaningful symbols. Out of those, like one in that list, there is one strand related to symbolic interactionism, and that strand is propounded by Erwin Goffman, dramaturgical analysis, right? So, like not symbolic interactionism. UPSC did not ask symbolic interactionism. Rather, one strand related to symbolic interactionism. So here you can observe चेंज, यहाँ पे आप चेंज देख सकते हैं, है ना. सो यू हैव टू प्रिपेयर different strands related to major theoretical strands of research methodology in sociology. This you have to understand. This is one change in trend of questioning, right? In previous year questions, you can see direct questions like examine functionalism, critically examine functionalist tradition. But this year, not symbolic. Like expected question was ki examine symbolic interactionism, but UPSC did not ask symbolic interactionism. One strand related to symbolic interactionism, and that is dramaturgical analysis. Next year maybe looking glass self. Next year UPSC may ask discuss meaningful symbols, right? Concept of meaningful symbols. डिस्कस डेफिनेशन ऑफ सिचुएशन या क्रिटिकली एग्जामिन डेफिनेशन ऑफ सिचुएशन या फिर सिग्निफिकेंस ऑफ थॉमस एंड थॉमस कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ डेफिनेशन ऑफ सिचुएशन इन अंडरस्टैंडिंग एवरीडे लाइफ. जैसे इस बार का क्वेश्चन है, हाउ डज ड्रामेटिकल पर्सपेक्टिव इनेबल अस अंडरस्टैंडिंग एवरीडे लाइफ, राइट? सो यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस चेंज एंड अकॉर्डिंगली यू हैव टू प्रिपेयर योरसेल्फ फॉर नेक्स्ट ईयर, राइट? सो this acha, one more thing I will clarify, like this session is meant for understanding the trend, isn't it? In previous years, if you analyze previous 10-year paper, you will find ki questions had been macroscopic, right? Matlab you have to write every dimension. Jaise functionalism, examine functionalist tradition. So one, like all the dimension of functionalism. But as per change, you can expect next year functionalist tradition, change in functionalism, yeah, change in functionalist tradition introduced by 𝐒𝐫𝐸𝐻, right? Yeah, 𝐒𝐫𝐸𝐻's criticism of the basic postulates of functionalism propounded by Herbert Spencer, isn't it? So you have to be, microscopic. थोड़ा सा मतलब you have to be alert, in this regard, right? You should not be surprised in examination hall. This year many students were surprised, those who could not recall these discussions, in the class. In class I had discussed, dramaturgical analysis, right? Yeah, feminist perspective in feminism. In class related to major theoretical strands only I discuss. Apart from major theoretical strands, separately I discuss feminist perspective, feminism, isn't it? So you have to be aware of this, and like you have to understand this change in trend of UPSC questioning. Earlier in past we see direct macroscopic questions, direct major theoretical strands were asked, right? But this year microscopic, isn't it? So what I say, in class, repeatedly I say in class, you have to know something of everything. So that you have to do, you have to keep in mind something of everything, and you have to use your knowledge matrix accordingly, right? Although we discuss this feminist perspective in family systems of kinship also, in social stratification also, right? So from all those topics you were expected to extract knowledge matrix to write this question, है ना? कि what is the distinctiveness of feminist method of social research, comment, है ना? So I hope you understood this change in pattern of questioning. Yeah, okay, so let's see other question. Next question, discuss relationship between sociology and political science. This is very obvious question. NCERT book based questions. In such questions, you have to write points of convergence and points of divergence between the two disciplines, right? Reflecting on the whole syllabus, है ना? अपने syllabus को reflect करके, politics and society unit को reflect करके, you are expected to deal with this question and the basic that given in your printed notes, right? Yeah, in CRT books may also you read about relationship between sociology and other disciplines. This is very regular kind of question. Earlier also question like compare and contrast sociology with anthropology, right? So these questions you can say like semi-peripheral questions. If you have option to write some other question, you should go for other question. If this question is asked in compulsory, you should write just two dimensions in such question, points of convergence and points of divergence, to bring novelty in such questions. And look, in such straightforward questions, what matters is novelty, something different from what is written in books and notes. And that's something different you can bring by reflecting on Indian society. Okay, how in Indian society, like social studies, sociological studies, right? Field studies conducted by M.N. Srinivas, S.C. Dubey, right? And many other sociologists, provided insights for policy making. Yes, na? Be that rural agrarian policy making or developmental policy making, yeah, urban development related policies, tribal development related policies, positive discrimination policies, right? So in such questions, when it is asked discuss relationship between sociology and political science, like as if I talk about nature, so these questions are like just requires points of divergence and points of convergence between two disciplines. But to bring in novelty, you should go beyond and you should try to give references and examples from Indian society, right? From Indian society, particularly the studies conducted by different sociologists that provided inputs for policy making, right? Let us take some other question. Do you think that common sense is a starting point of social research? What are its advantages and limitations? Explain. If we see previous year questions, related to this topic, so in year previous years, there was a question: Is sociology common sense? Give reason in support of your argument. So this question: Is sociology common sense? Give reason in support of your argument. So this question differently asked, this year. Just there is change in language. आप कह सकते हैं कि there is just change in language. Is sociology common sense? Give reason in support of your argument. Here the question, this year's question is: Do you think that common sense is the starting point of social research? What are its advantages and limitations? So questions are regularly repeated with different you can say tone and texture, right? Language will change question ka but the crux will remain the same. So in such questions, you should in such topics you should simply keep in mind to manage such questions like what are points of convergence between sociology and common sense, and what are points of divergence between sociology and common sense, and do you think that common sense is a starting point? So here, be that this question or earlier question, is sociology common sense, you have to simply refer to non-positivist sociologist, ethnomethodologist, phenomenologist, symbolic interactionist, right? Referring them, you have to substantiate कि sociology is common sense, and advantage and limitations. And so according to non-positivist sociologist, the starting point or the starting point of social research may be common sense, isn't it? And then advantages and disadvantages, isn't it? So limitations highlighted by positivist sociologist, isn't it? So the nature and scope of these questions are very limited. Points of convergence and points of divergence, यही दो points लिखने हैं broadly, nature and scope in these questions are limited. Yes, ना, but again I will say to bring in novelty, कुछ तो different करना है, कुछ distinct करना है, competitor से कुछ अलग लिखना है. अगर if you have to write something different, distinct from your competitor, then again in this question also you have to reflect on syllabus. You have to reflect on Indian society, isn't it? And you have to talk about practicality of common sense knowledge. जो practicality है, pragmatic view है, pragmatism है common sense knowledge में that you have to highlight, isn't it? In our day-to-day life, in your family, in society, isn't it? So that practical aspects should be highlighted in pre-conclusion and conclusive paragraph to bring novelty. Yeah, these questions are questions of limited nature and scope. Limited scope, isn't it? Nature is also very, you can say easy, I will say, like not very difficult questions, isn't it? So in such questions, novelty matters, and that for novelty you will have to apply, isn't it, in day-to-day life. You know? So in respect to sociology and commons in this topic, there is just change in language, you can say, is it a tone and texture, not much change in context. Context remains the same. Just as I said ki earlier also, is sociology common sense give reasons in support of your argument? You have to start this question from non-positivist perspective, and this year also ki common sense is starting point, so positivist sociology, isn't it? You have to start then limitations from positive sociologies. So in such topics, you will see that there is no much change, right? Let us take some other question. What are the characteristic of scientific method? Do you think that scientific method in conducting sociological research is foolproof? Elaborate. Again, this question also very much a straightforward question, you can say. We have discussed in class also, right? Scientific method. In such questions, you have to describe what is science, what are the what is scientific method, what are the characteristic of scientific method, right? And when the question is, do you think that scientific method is conducting sociological research is foolproof? So you are aware that in sociology, no method is foolproof, isn't it? So how can you think the scientific method is foolproof? So here you have to just, take a stand, right, which justify both scientific method as well as its limitations, isn't it? And in such questions, you should refer to, like, your thoughts should be based on what you have studied, what perspective ideas you have got after learning positivist and non-positivist, isn't it? So दोनों को refer करके you have to substantiate this question. And this also, like, if you compare this year's questions related to science, scientific method and critique from previous years, you will find, nature of question is not much changed. Previously also, is sociology a science? Give reasons for your answer. And describe basic postulates of scientific method. How far these followed in sociological research? These are previous year questions, not this year. This year question, as I said, what are the characteristic of scientific method? Do you think that scientific method in conducting sociological research is foolproof? So, like, this is this year question, 2023 ka question, and you will see there is continuity from previous years, isn't it? So just earlier टू लाइनर क्वेश्चन इस बार थोड़ा क्वेश्चन का आप देखेंगे क्वांटिटी ऑफ वर्ड्स इंक्रीज्ड बट द थीम रिमेन्स सेम, right? So nature is very much similar as asked previous years, and as far as a scope is concerned, so like a scope of question does not go beyond your knowledge matrix. Whatever you know what is science, what is scientific method, its characteristics, its advantage and disadvantage. You have to write simply all those knowledge matters. In such questions, we will face the problem, in writing everything that you know. So as I suggest in class also, like, you have to be a good decision maker, like in examination hall, you have to just list the dimensions. Here listing matters, right? Not detailing. पूरा detail नहीं करना है आपको, ठीक है ना? So this is next question is, how does the dramaturgical perspective that we discussed, like, if let us take some other questions like is a reference group theory universally applicable model elucidate? Look, concept of reference group, this is very easy concept, but many students committed mistake this year. Is reference group theory a universally applicable model elucidate? Look, this is one criticism, of reference group. Okay, this is not universally applicable model, right? In this question, elucidate, matlab you have to give examples, you have to give references, right? So in elucidation, you will refer to ethnomethodological perspective, right? For many ethnic groups, in many ethnic groups, we don't see they refer to other ethnicities, people of other ethnicities, isn't it? So we cannot say this is universally applicable model. So there is change in nature of question. In previous years, there were direct questions related to 𝐒𝐫𝐽 or applied questions, isn't it? So applied question related to like reference group and fashion, है change in fashion. Previously, UPSC asked such question. This year also, this question is applied question, right? You were expected to reflect on society, right? The facts in society, right? After introducing with definition of reference group, the concept of reference group, while answering the question universally, is the theory, is this concept universally applicable model elucidate to no. In elucidation, you should have elucidated to Jarwa tribe. Do you think for Jarwa's reference group model is applicable? They have their own inner world. Yes, na? 𝐒𝐨𝐽𝐬𝐻, Jarwas, many, like ethnic groups, right, are inward oriented. They don't refer to others, isn't it? So, such facts, you were expected to write. है ना? कुछ ऐसे facts आने चाहिए थे इस question में. Short question है, not much facts. Now you cannot write beyond 150 words, isn't it? Half of the question, like 75 to 100 words, just what is reference group and the concept with examples, and then elucidation of some examples. Ki this is applied in modern urban material world, in American society, European society, in modernizing societies of India, other countries ka reference also, isn't it? Like modern urban metropolitan societies may this is applicable, but not in many ethnic communities, ethnic groups like Jarwas, 𝐒𝐽𝐽𝐻, and many other tribal groups you can refer, right? So this is, so there is change. Try to understand. मैं आज आपके सामने इसी बात के लिए आया हूँ, just to make you understand. For next year, you should be ready, right, to deal with such changes. ऐसे change को deal करने के लिए आपको ready रहना होगा. Yes, na? Right. There are some straightforward questions. As I said, previous 2-3 questions like science related question, common sense related question, those are straightforward questions. But there are some changes visible, and this is one substantial change visible in question pattern, right? Is reference group theory universally applicable model elucidate, है ना? हालांकि like there is change in question pattern, but whatever knowledge matrix you have, you can manage to write such question by reflecting on the knowledge matrix. मैं बार बार कहता हूँ, क्लास में भी मैं बोलता हूँ, right? I always refer such questions, and I always suggest you कि reflect on your knowledge matrix. ये जो knowledge इधर बना हुआ है आपका, जो एक wisdom, sociological wisdom है, use your sociological wisdom, like of paper 1, paper 2, है ना, to write such question. अगर उस wisdom को use किया किसी ने कि yes, there is one perspective, ethnomethodology, right? Ethnomethodological perspective, है ना, and there are ethnic groups, right? In discussion, I had also given example ki on social cultural, on the occasion of social cultural events, we are generally inward oriented. Our membership group is a reference group, not outside group is a reference group, isn't it? For many ethnic groups, their membership group is a reference group, right? So ऐसा रेफर करके, मतलब थोड़ा सराउंडिंग में देख के, थोड़ा ग्लोबली फैक्ट्स को चेक करके, you can refer to. Like, do you think that for Jews of Israel, people of Palestine can be reference group? No. Or for, and vice versa, right? So we can refer, write such examples. So this is change. Try to understand कि इस क्वेश्चन पैटर्न में यहाँ पे क्वेश्चन में चेंज इज देयर, है ना? ऐसे क्वेश्चन नेक्स्ट ईयर ऑल्सो यू कैन expect, and for writing such question you should refer to paper 1 and paper 2 syllabus, है ना? Just not reflecting on topic. You should be syllabus bound, not topic bound. syllabus bound होना चाहिए, topic bound नहीं होना चाहिए. आप में से बहुत सारे बच्चे बेचैन रहते हैं फ्रॉम क्लास 1 डे 1, कि बस मैं आज ही आज इन अ डे और 2 और अ वीक और मंथ्स, है ना, मेरे को पूरा आ जाना चाहिए, विजडम, सोशियोलॉजिकल विजडम टू राइट आंसर, इजंट इट? नो, ऐसा नहीं होता, है ना? यू विल हैव टू कंप्लीट सिलेबस, यू विल हैव टू रिवाइज, and you have to be wise, right, with your own wisdom, isn't it, to write answer. जल्दबाजी नहीं करो, ठीक है ना? आप में से बहुत लोग बहुत ज्यादा जल्दी में रहते हो, तो फिर एक्सीडेंट भी हो जाता है, प्रॉब्लम भी हो जाता है, मेंस नहीं हो पाता है. सो यूज ऑफ नॉलेज, पहले तो नॉलेज ऑफ कंप्लीटिंग सिलेबस, देन रिवीजन, बार बार रिवीजन, एंड देन यूज ऑफ नॉलेज टू राइट सच क्वेश्चंस अप्रोप्रिएटली, है ना? अप्रोप्रिएटली, यस. बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट लिख कर आए होंगे इस क्वेश्चन को इस बार, है ना? लेकिन some of the students, and I'm happy, many students I after exam, like I discussed these questions, and I was happy कि many of my students, they were able to reflect because I focus, I emphasize too much on use of knowledge. Have limited knowledge, but be efficient in using that knowledge. Limited knowledge on topics, but be efficient in using that knowledge matrix. उसमें efficiency रखो in use of knowledge matrix. या ठीक है, पैटर्न को समझने में, ट्रेंड को समझने में, लेट अस टेक सम मोर क्वेश्चंस. डू यू थिंक दैट द बाउंड्री लाइन बिटवीन एथनिसिटी एंड रेस इज ब्लर्ड? जस्टिफाई योर आंसर. अब अगेन, डू यू थिंक दैट ये भी एक चेंज है, ठीक है ना? मतलब कई क्वेश्चंस में आ गया है. डू यू थिंक दैट? यस ना? एंड आई विल ऑलवेज सजेस्ट कि your thought should not be your inner romantic fantastic thought, है ना? Your thought should be based in sociology on facts, social facts, as well as concepts and theories. जो भी, whatever theoretical strands you have studied, whatever concept and whatever facts you see in society, you have observation in society, facts, isn't it? Social facts. So that should be the basis of your thinking. So in such question, do you think that boundary line between ethnicity and race is blurred? Justify your answer, right? So what we observe in society, like in such question, nature of such question asked earlier also. पहले भी ऐसा question आया है, like salience of ethnicity, manifestation of ethnicity in society. इस बार का टेस्ट में भी मैंने पूछा था ऐसा question, right? So in such question, like you should write with references. अगर आप लिख रहे हैं कि yes, the boundary line between ethnicity and race is being blurred, so these are the facts. You have to give examples कि boundary line is being blurred. You have to give examples like American society का, European society का, Indian society का, isn't it? But at the same time, what we see, be that in America, be that in Europe, be that in India, like at times we see, like people belonging to different race asserting for their identity, isn't it? Claiming for their rights. We recently we saw in America Black Life Matters का पूरा movement, right, 2 years back. So such facts should be referred, right? जो observation में आपके है, right? So referring on such facts, you should take a stand in such question, right? You should not take a stand just, like whatever you have read ki yeah, boundary line being blurred. But that is there, like in a democratizing society, in modern society, that boundary line has blurred, right, with formation of nation states, citizenship rights, isn't it? Irrespective of race and ethnicity, like all treated equally by the state, isn't it? All have, equal rights, Like at the same time, we see, like assertion of racial identities, right? And people belonging to different race, right? Within a particular, region. Region is the basis of, ethnicity. Region is one basis. So people belonging to different race in a particular region asserting for their rights. Just say what we see today in Manipur, राइट. आई हैव डिस्कस्ड इन क्लास. मैं वो सब पढ़ाऊंगा नहीं, अब आपको डिटेल नहीं करूंगा. एथनिसिटी का बेसिस क्या है? रिलीजन इज द बेसिस ऑफ एथनिसिटी, रीजन इज द बेसिस ऑफ एथनिसिटी, है ना. लैंग्वेज इज द बेसिस ऑफ एथनिसिटी, राइट. कास्ट इज द बेसिस ऑफ एथनिसिटी. बट वी सी, कि इन अ पर्टिकुलर रीजन we see different, people belonging to different race asserting for their rights. That we see today in, like America also, in Manipur also, isn't it? So, referring to such examples, you should take a stand. आपका thought ऐसे facts पे based होना चाहिए, है ना, right? So, be like ready for such question next year also. Like this is taste of your sociological wisdom, है ना. आप रीजन्स देंगे कि ब्लर क्यों हो रहा है, तो ब्लरिंग का भी बहुत सारे कॉजेज है ना. एंड व्हाई this is not still, ethnicity and race, like in a particular ethnic regions we see people belonging to different race asserting for their rights, तो उसको भी लिखना है ना. So this is what I meant to say, कि justify your answer. Do you think that boundary line between ethnicity and race? So there are many regions, there are many facts related कि this boundary line is blurring. लेकिन at the end you should not just, justify your answer with with the facts of blurring of ethnicity and race, but also, कि assertion of racial identities these days, right? आप देखिए फ्रांस के अंदर देखिए assertion, people belonging to, Arab or Middle East countries asserting their rights, isn't it? People like conflict between the native French and the immigrants, right? So such facts should also be referred. ऐसा facts को भी refer करना है. And you should not expect, चाहे आप मेरे क्लास में हो या फिर कहीं और से क्लासेस कर रहे हो, अब ऐसे facts तो आपके डे टू डे ऑब्जर्वेशन में है. All such facts are under your observation. You cannot, say कि अच्छा ये सब क्लास में डिस्कस नहीं हुआ था, ये सब बात उधर नहीं किए थे, ऐसा नहीं ऐसा नहीं. That is preparation, man. You have to, be vigilant, throughout this process of, like preparation, isn't it? And you regularly you read newspapers and you have observation of such facts. तो ऐसे कुछ facts आपको refer करने चाहिए, है ना. So this is next is what, according to Robert Miss iron law of oligarchy, do lions and foxes in Wilfredo Pareto theory essentially differ from each other? Substantiate. अब देखिए इस क्वेश्चन का try to understand, nature and scope, change in nature and scope. Like earlier pattern, if you see previous pattern of questioning, so generally elite theory was asked, isn't it? But here you see Robert Mill ka iron law of oligarchy, this is one concept, and lion and foxes in Wilfredo Pareto theory essentially differ from each other. I mean, lion and theory, fox ka concept, elite theory ka concept by Wilfredo Pareto. अब these two concepts, together asked in a question, long question. So here there is change in pattern. अब here you have to write something of both, not everything of both. You cannot write everything. So there is change in pattern of questioning here, and आपको next year ready रहना है इसके लिए भी, है ना. एंड इसी के लिए प्रैक्टिस भी करना है, अपने इमोशंस को कंट्रोल करना है, राइट. यू कैनॉट राइट एवरीथिंग, राइट. यू कैन राइट समथिंग ऑफ एवरीथिंग, नॉट एवरीथिंग, है ना. सो इन सच क्वेश्चन यू हैव टू सिंपली डिस्क्राइब व्हाट आयरन लॉ ऑफ oligarchy and then Wilfredo Pareto's, theory, right? Lion and foxes, and you have to show how they are different, right? Substantiate, example देना है. So you have to give example, some examples of political parties, how political parties today act as, oligarchical body, राइट? कैसे ओलिगार्ची के जैसे काम कर रहे पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज, हाउ डेमोक्रेटिक इन डेमोक्रेटिक स्टेट्स कैबिनेट्स, isn't it, functioning as oligarchy. So simple, such examples. But try to understand what I like. I'm trying to make you understand कि you are not supposed to detail, rather write something of both, right? Wilfredo Pareto का Loin and Fox का concept and Robert Michel iron law of oligarchy. कहीं ना कहीं सिलेबस में, चाहे आप मेरे स्टूडेंट हो या कहीं और से क्लास किए हुए हैं, you will find in your notes, right, these concepts. These are very popular concepts, like these concepts are mentioned. And here conceptual knowledge is enough. You need not to detail, just conceptual knowledge, right? These nature of these questions are not difficult. These are all straightforward, direct related to the topics. Politics and society में ये सब डिस्कस करते हैं आप. But as far as the scope of question is concerned, you cannot detail, you cannot write everything that you know related to Wilfredo Pareto's theory. वहां पे आपको इमोशंस को कंट्रोल करना है और जस्ट डिस्क्राइब, राइट? सो आई होप यू अंडरस्टूड ये चेंज इन पैटर्न. या next question is, what is historical materialism? Examine its relevance in understanding contemporary societies. Here also, like generally previous year mein, if you see previous year questions, so you will find the pattern of questioning, like critically examine kind of questions related to Karl Marx, analyze certain salient features of historical materialism, analyze Marxian concept of historical materialism as a critique of Hegelian dialectics. Such questions are related to historical materialism topic, है ना? But this year, what is historical materialism? ठीक है ना? यहाँ पे you have to be wise in managing your knowledge matrix. What is historical materialism? इसीलिए मैं हमेशा, मेरा ओरिएंटेशन क्या रहता है क्लास में भी डेफिनेशनल है. मैं सजेस्ट भी करता हूँ आपको कि whatever you read first, conceptualize its the topic in definitional form. उसका डेफिनेशन कर लो, ठीक है ना? क्लासेस में जो आप मेरे स्टूडेंट हैं, अगर इसमें अभी अटेंड कर रहे हैं, तो मस्ट यू कैन रिकॉल, in discussions also I start with कि why historical materialism, why it is called historical, why materialistic, है ना? So that, and then examine अब what is historical materialism. We will not just define, but we will also brief the basic concepts, because this is long question. तो basic concepts को आप brief कर देंगे जो भी historical materialism से related है. जो change है इसमें कि examine its relevance in understanding contemporary societies. Previously ऐसे क्वेश्चन नहीं है. Previously as I said कि analyze salient features of historical materialism and analyze Marxian concept of historical materialism. तो अब next time क्या, for next years you have to be ready, for such questions कि examine its relevance in understanding contemporary society. मतलब application of Marxian theory examine है. So application of Marxian theory as well as limitations of Marxian theory in contemporary society. Marxian theory of historical materialism in contemporary society, है ना? Similarly, next year के लिए, those who are appearing for 24, तो next year के लिए, you have to be ready कि next year what is class struggle and examine its relevance in understanding contemporary society, है ना? मतलब एक in many question, such change in pattern in nature and scope of questioning is visible. Earlier scope of question, जैसे previous question का कि analyze salient features of historical materialism, scope is very limited. You have to just describe, features of historical materialism, different stages of, materialistic history by Karl Marx, है ना? तो उसका scope is limited. Academic scope है उसका. Book is जितना आप जानते हैं लिख दिया. Here applied, यहाँ पे आपको अप्लाई करना है. And in discussions also, आप देखेंगे, अपने नोट्स देखेंगे जो मेरे क्लास में रहे हैं, तो you must like have some points of relevance as well as limitation, है ना? तो नेक्स्ट ईयर के लिए बी दैट एलिनेशन, बी दैट क्लास स्ट्रगल, आप ऐसा एक्सपेक्ट करेंगे, है ना, कि रेलेवेंस ऑफ एलिनेशन इन अंडरस्टैंडिंग कंटेम्पररी फैक्ट्स काइंड ऑफ. सो ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड सच चेंज. ऐसे चेंज को समझिए कि नेचर एंड स्कोप ऑफ क्वेश्चंस रिलेटेड टू थिंकर्स, है ना, जो सोशियोलॉजिकल थॉट है आपका, जो इंपॉर्टेंट यूनिट है, नेक्स्ट ईयर उसमें चेंज हो सकता है. दिस ईयर अ क्लियर चेंज इज विजिबल, राइट? So this is, let us take some more questions, right? How do you assess changing pattern of kinship relations in society today? This is also, there is change in nature of question here. If you see previous year question related to kinship, this topic, you will find straightforward questions, right? You'll find straightforward questions like discuss various theoretical perspectives on family. So functionalist perspective, conflictist, or you can say, Marxist perspective, feminist perspective. Examine the emerging trends of marriage and family as a response to change in economic and social order. These are previous year questions, right? Distinguish between family and household, right? Critically examine functionalist view on institution of family, right? But this year, how do you assess changing pattern in kinship relations? पहले भी चेंज से क्वेश्चन पूछा है, जैसे आई सेड कि एग्जामिन इमर्जिंग ट्रेंड्स इन फैमिली एंड मैरिज एज रिस्पॉन्स टू चेंज इन इकोनॉमिक एंड सोशल ऑर्डर, राइट? एग्जामिनेशन के लिए, राइट? सो यू हैव टू एग्जामिन, लाइक इन सच क्वेश्चंस, मैरिज एंड फैमिली पैटर्न में, changes as response to economic and change in economic and social order, मतलब post liberal economy, how nuclearization of families and all. But this year question, how do you assess the changing pattern in kinship relation in society, relations in societies today? You have to understand कि here your assessment, your observation, isn't it? And कैसा observation, not romantic fantastic thought, rather a structural observation of kinship relationship. And we have discussed, class में भी discuss किया था consanguine kinship, affinal kinship, isn't it? And kinship relation में क्या होता है? Like blood relations, consanguine kinship, affinal kinship, marital relation, isn't it? So that should be assessed. Assessment of such kinship relations, है ना? Assessment of marital relations, कि मैरिज में क्या चेंजेस हो रहा है, मैरिटल पैटर्न में क्या चेंज हो रहा है ना? लाइक हस्बैंड एंड वाइफ के रिलेशंस में क्या चेंजेस हो रहा है, इट्स मोर डिपेंडेंट और इंटरडिपेंडेंट, इजंट इट? सो ऑल दीज एस्पेक्ट्स you should have assessed, like nuclearization of families, single parent families, separated families. like kinship relation को जब आप डिस्क्राइब करते तो उसमें क्या consanguine kinship, like based on blood relations, isn't it? Like parents, children, brothers, brother, sister, isn't it? So all these are changing, with changing family pattern in today's society, right? So assessment of these facts should have been done in this question. Question कह रहा है कि how do you assess? So next time के लिए थोड़ा सा like whatever knowledge you have related to, like family, marriage, kinship, उस पे एक अपना व्यू पॉइंट रखिए, है ना? एक लिस्टिंग करके रखिए कि these are some features of family, features of marriage, these are changes in family, change in marriage क्या pattern, change in kinship क्या pattern, isn't it? And these changes, isn't it, are related to certain external social facts, some individual factors, है ना? यही होगा ना, individual factors की वजह से या external social facts की वजह से, isn't it? So such question you may expect next year, such more question you may expect next year, right? Assessment based, ki how do you assess, right? So here I observe, a change in pattern, right? यहाँ पे मुझे एक दिख रहा है कि फैमिली किनशिप रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन में नेक्स्ट ईयर ऑल्सो कुछ इस तरीके के क्वेश्चन में भी आस्क्ड बाय यूपीएससी. एक और लाइक एक सरप्राइज क्वेश्चन वाज आस्क्ड, एनालाइज क्रिटिकली डेविड मॉर्गन्स व्यूज ऑन फैमिली प्रैक्टिसेस, राइट? तो जो ट्रेडिशनल, लाइक ऑल्दो दिस क्वेश्चन इज सरप्राइज क्वेश्चन, आई हैड नॉट डिस्कस्ड इन क्लास. हाँ, कंटेम्पररी फैमिली पैटर्न I discuss, and David Morgan is also contemporary sociologist, right? So in such questions, like if you have not read anything regarding this sociologist, but if you are aware of classical sociologist and he is not listed in classical sociologist, so certainly he will be he will belong to, like you can expect him belonging to contemporary. And जो contemporary practices है like family में उसका critical analysis you should have done, right? So many students manage this question, है ना? But what I mean to say, अब next year this question will not be repeated, but you should be aware of change in family practices. जैसे क्या था, traditionally there was a practice of family talk. Family members used to like sit together, come together, and family talks. आज क्या practice हो गया? Social media talk. Yes, na. So there is clear change visible, right? Social media talks में आजकल तो Facebook, Tinder, Grindr, there's Instagram talks, isn't it? Right? Club talks are there, है ना? Group talks are there. तो ये सब चेंज हो रहा है पैटर्न में. नेक्स्ट ईयर ऑल्सो यू कैन एक्सपेक्ट सच क्वेश्चन. ऐसा क्वेश्चन कुछ एक्सपेक्ट कर सकते हैं नेक्स्ट ईयर के लिए भी, है ना? राइट. सो यू हैव टू बी लिटिल, व्हाट आई मीन टू से, व्हेन इट कम्स टू असेसमेंट एग्जामिनेशन, so you have to be microscopic. थोड़ा सा whatever knowledge matrix you have, you should like be very pointed, right? You should be very objective, isn't it? And vigilant also. मतलब whatever objective facts you have written in notes, you should try to factify कि आज सोसाइटी में क्या हमें दिख रहा है ना? फैमिली प्रैक्टिसेस में ओल्ड एज केयर, चाइल्ड केयर, ये सब क्या हो रहा है टुडे? ऑल दीज आर बीइंग आउटसोर्स्ड, इजंट इट? सो दिस इज चेंज इन फैमिली प्रैक्टिसेस. अब ऐसा कोई रॉकेट साइंस का क्वेश्चन नहीं था. दिस क्वेश्चन मेनी स्टूडेंट्स हैव मैनेज्ड दिस क्वेश्चन आल्सो, राइट? ओके, सो फाइन. Let us take some other question. Yeah. Is Weber's idea of bureaucracy a product of historical experience of Europe? Comment. Yes, this question was little unexpected, because generally you study about bureaucracy, its features, however in my discussion I one or two paragraph I dedicate on ki in like wake of modernization, industrialization, the need emerged for legal rational organization, isn't it? So those points only, like short question. This was a short question, 150 words mein likhna tha. So although this is not very popular discussion in sociology classes, isn't it? But in your printed notes I have mentioned this, है ना, कि preconditions for rise of bureaucracy. Even if you have not read about preconditions, historical experience of Europe, you can use your knowledge matrix. आपने इंडस्ट्रियल रिवोल्यूशन पढ़ा है, इंडस्ट्रियल रिवोल्यूशन, फ्रेंच रिवोल्यूशन, isn't it? Democracy, democratization, right? Industrialization, urbanization. So in that context, product of historical experience of Europe, all such changes in European society needed legal rational organization for efficiency in attainment of goals through meaningful actions, isn't it? So aisa we can like comment some points, we can write some points on such questions, hai na? I will not say like ki this was a difficult question, but yeah, this question like needed use of knowledge matrix, which I repeatedly suggest in classes, isn't it? कि भैया अपने को efficient बनाओ, whatever you are learning, अपना sociological wisdom को use करने के लिए efficient बनाओ आप, right? Then only will be able to manage such questions. And 2, 3, 4 unexpected question would be there, है ना? ऐसा नहीं था कि एकदम foreign question था, difficult question था, ऐसा नहीं था. अगर knowledge matrix को use करते तो this question was doable, right? So this is, so next year also you can expect such questions, right? Previously आप देखोगे previous year question pattern में you will not find such question related to Max Weber, बहुत स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड क्वेश्चन पूछा हुआ है मैथ्स पेपर से. Next is, do you think that common sense is starting? अच्छा, this we have discussed, ठीक है. Yeah, there is one question. How is poverty a form of social exclusion? Illustrate in this connection the different dimensions of poverty and social exclusion. अब look, in syllabus, UPSC has mentioned this topic poverty as concept. Yeah, एक कॉन्सेप्ट में मेंशन किया हुआ है, ठीक है ना. कॉन्सेप्ट्स इक्वालिटी, इनइक्वालिटी, हायरार्की, एक्सक्लूजन, पॉवर्टी एंड डेप्रिवेशन, राइट. एंड इफ यू रिमेंबर, इस बार भी मैंने क्लासेस में बताया आपको कि रेस्ट ऑफ द टॉपिक्स लाइक इक्वालिटी, इनइक्वालिटी, हायरार्की, एक्सक्लूजन, यू कैन लिमिट जस्ट अंडरस्टैंडिंग कॉन्सेप्ट्स एंड द रिलेटेड डायमेंशन. बट पॉवर्टी में थोड़ा सा डिटेल करना है, एंड दैट्स व्हाई आई आल्सो डिस्कस्ड इन, I generally discuss in classes theories of poverty also, Marxian theory, Weberian theory, functionalist theory, isn't it? So in this question, I will not say that this question was a surprise question for my students. Like for many students, this was a surprise question because they had limited themselves to the concept of poverty, right? Like this question I had asked in test series also this year. This was expected this year, right? And here also, I will suggest कि try to understand the nature and scope of question. The nature is, this question is very much related, direct question. आपका direct question है, topic से related है. दोनों topics like social exclusion and poverty is mentioned in your syllabus. And but a scope of the question is wide. A scope of question is not limited. है तो nature is simple, direct related topic, but a scope is wide. That you have to understand, and a scope, as per a scope of the topic, you should understand key for next year you should not limit to conceptual understanding of these terms, but applied understanding of these terms, and a theoretical understanding of these terms, right? So how is poverty a form of social exclusion? So you have to, in such questions, you are expected to define what is poverty, what is social exclusion, and then how social exclusion, right, is responsible for poverty, how poverty itself is a form of social. Means you have to prove referring to the thinkers, Marxian perspective, and Weberian perspective, or feminist perspective, subaltern perspective. Referring to those perspectives, you should justify, कि poverty itself is a form of social exclusion. Those who are poor, they are excluded, right? Those who are poor, they are excluded from the mainstream society, like political, excluded from polity, excluded from education, excluded from practice of culture, religion, isn't it? And you should have given, some contemporary examples also, isn't it? Like you can also, thoda sa India, referring to Indian society, you can give examples from Bihar, from MP, right? In these states, the people living below poverty line is high, isn't it? And these are the people who are excluded. Landlessness is also there, right? Exclusion from the land. Landlessness is high in the areas. Obviously, government has started Swamitva scheme and many other schemes. So in such questions, try to reflect on Indian society also to substantiate. So different dimensions. जैसे पूछा कि illustrate the connection in this connection the different dimensions of poverty and social exclusion. अब here dimension में simply you have to reflect on economic dimension, you have to reflect on political dimension, you have to reflect on educational dimension, you have to reflect on cultural dimension, isn't it? And even if you have not noted, these dimensions in the topic poverty or social exclusion, but by reflecting on your syllabus, you can bring some facts, you can extract some facts, you can reflect on some facts to write these dimensions. है ना. You can also reflect on, while you are writing cultural dimension of poverty and exclusion, you can reflect on Oscar Lewis. Economic dimension, you can reflect on Karl Marx, isn't it? So in such questions, like you need to widely use your knowledge matrix. ऐसा क्वेश्चन को डील करने के लिए आप ऐसा नहीं होगा कि टॉपिक बाउंड होकर यू विल राइट आंसर. यू नीड टू बी सिलेबस बाउंड, है ना. ऐसे क्वेश्चन को आप सिलेबस बाउंड होकर लिखेंगे, नॉट टॉपिक बाउंड, राइट. सो दिस इज फाइन. आई होप अंडरस्टूड समथिंग. या ठीक है, ठीक है. Those who are freshers, they like attending this live session may not be understanding many of the points I am highlighting here, but those who have attended your classes, they completed the syllabus, those who have studied sociology and completed your syllabus, you must be understanding whatever I am suggesting you regarding change in pattern and particularly this nature and scope. Like in this question, as I said, ki poverty and exclusion related question. This question is direct, related to the topic. So nature is straightforward. It is not difficult. It is direct question, from the syllabus, from the topic of syllabus. But the scope is too wide. For, like writing this question, answer of this question, you will have to reflect on different thinkers, different theorists, and you will have to reflect on different structural dimensions, social, economic, political, cultural dimension, right, educational dimension, है ना. सो इसको समझिए, नेक्स्ट ईयर के लिए अपना ये प्रिपेयर करिए इस लेवल पे. यू हैव टू बी प्रिपेयर्ड. Let us take some other question. Next, highlight the differences and similarities between totemism and animism. Look, this is not like totemism is mentioned in syllabus. Animism is mentioned in syllabus. E.B. Taylor ka we have discussed also in class. Totemism we discuss, in 𝐒𝐫𝐤𝐚𝐻 𝐸. And see, like this is not, I will say, direct question. As far as nature is concerned, so this is indirect question, and like this question also requires use of knowledge matrix. कि एक तो आप डिस्कस करते हैं एनिमिज्म को किधर, एनिमिज्म इन रिलीजन एंड सोसाइटी, राइट. एनिमिज्म, मोनिज्म, there you discuss, there you learn. And totemism generally not discussed separately, we discuss in 𝐒𝐫𝐤𝐻, isn't it? So reflecting on the concept of totemism, isn't it, the practice of totemism, right, in 𝐒𝐫𝐤𝐻's theory of religion and society and E.B. Taylor's concept of animism, you have to highlight similarities and differences. So a scope of, as far as nature is concerned, so this is not direct. This requires use of knowledge matrix related to different topics. कोई एक topic से related question नहीं है ये. And a scope is, although you have to write in 150 words, isn't it? But a scope is limited by question itself कि highlight differences and similarities. मतलब divergence and convergence का point, है ना. अगर concept आपका clear है, you can easily write such questions, isn't it? Because a scope is limited. जहां पे यूपीएससी ने like nature indirect किया है, वहां पे scope को limit कर दिया. Scope is limited, right? So this is. I'm not discussing, detailing in answer. You can find on our blog, Triumph IAS ka blog pe I have posted all such, detailed answers, right? Let us see other questions. थोड़ा समझने का try करें हम. Examine relevance of corporate social responsibility in world marked by increasing environmental crisis. Every year I suggest students, कि you prepare for 16 question out of 19. Total 19 question आपको, right, उधर लिखना होगा यूपीएससी में. If you are writing 16 question, you will manage, rest 3 questions. So ये वही 3 questions में है, के category में है ना. Examine the relevance of corporate social responsibility in a world marked by increasing environmental crisis. Although CSR के ऊपर इस बार योजना में आया था, तो मैंने भी लिस्ट किया था इसको, like current contemporary sociology में. I'd mentioned in contemporary sociology wala, material that I give before mains exam. But in such questions, be that corporate social responsibility or any such type of, like facts, simply reflect on, like functionalist perspective, examine the relevance of corporate social responsibility in the world marked by increasing environmental crisis. So, एक fact क्या इधर है question में environmental crisis that needs, that functionally needs, isn't it, interventions and initiatives, and in that interventions and initiatives, major interventions or major action on part of corporates are required, isn't it? So simply describing, increasing environmental crisis in the answer of this question in examination, one should have just, short question hai. You have to write in 150 words. So one paragraph, increasing environmental crisis and its dysfunctionalities, then functional need for corporate social responsibility. So defining CSR and functional need. How can corporate functionally, contribute, isn't it, to manage such crisis apart from the state, apart from the governments, apart from civil society organizations, isn't it? है ना? So just 5 paragraphs should have been described on the functional role of corporates, isn't it, applying functionalist perspective. Since examination है तो थोड़ा सा लिमिटेशन भी बात कर देंगे, क्वेश्चनिंग बाय अप्लाइंग मार्क्सिस्ट पर्सपेक्टिव, isn't it? एक पैराग्राफ में, 2 पैराग्राफ में, isn't it? Right? Ethno methodological perspective, isn't it? It's not corporate, rather the people, isn't it? People can manage the menace of such crisis, है ना? So this is, मतलब these questions are indirect in nature, not expected, isn't it? But easily manageable questions if you have sociological wisdom, if you have clarity of thought in respect to perspectives, functionalism, conflictism, right, other perspectives like feminism, subaltern perspective, right? So you can manage such questions. ये difficult question नहीं है. R.K. Merton का perspective, isn't it? You can apply and you can manage such questions, है ना? So you can expect next year also. बार बार मैं कहता हूँ कि 2-3 such question you should expect, right? And such question must be managed. Next is, how is civil society useful in deepening the roots of democracy? अब ये तो direct question है, है ना? लेकिन इस डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन में फॉर कॉम्पिटिटिव एज नेचर ऑफ द क्वेश्चन इज डायरेक्ट, इजी क्वेश्चन है, क्योंकि सबके नोट्स में होगा, चाहे मेरे स्टूडेंट्स हो या कहीं और से पढ़ाई हो, राइट? यू हैव स्टडीड, यू मस्ट हैव like knowledge of civil society and how it is functional for democracy, है ना? डेमोक्रेसी के लिए वो सब क्लास में अपन डिस्कस करते हैं. लेकिन अब ऐसे क्वेश्चंस में शॉर्ट क्वेश्चन है तो हार्डली 5 पैराग्राफ 6 पैराग्राफ का स्कोप इज देयर. सो इन दैट आल्सो यू शुड ट्राई, क्योंकि कंपटीशन है, सो यू शुड ट्राई टू ब्रिंग सम नोवेल्टी, isn't it, by referring to contemporary contributions of civil society organizations like women organizations ka contribution, right, trade unions, contributions of CII, FICCI, isn't it, many other civil society organization, right, working for old age people, for tribals, for ethnic working in the areas of ethnic conflict, isn't it, war zones. So सबका रेफरेंस हम दे सकते हैं. वॉर जोन्स नहीं, जैसे अब डेमोक्रेसी की बात है तो विद इन like many there are instances of internal displacement, like industrialization, urbanization and displacement of the people, isn't it, rehabilitational challenges, and there civil society organization extend their helping hand, help the people in adjustments, isn't it, and thus they inculcate contribute in strengthening democracy. Otherwise people will become hostile against the state, isn't it, those who are internally displaced because of industrialization and all. तो ऐसा कुछ references, examples you have to give, है ना? Many civil society organizations working in resource rich tribal areas where tribal people, tribal communities are still poor, isn't it? Areas are rich but community is poor, and their civil society organization, not only a state but civil society organization, has contributed in inculcating like democratic attributes, socializing people in democratic politics, isn't it? Mobilizing people in democratic politics, isn't it? है ना? एंड यही तो इंपॉर्टेंट फंक्शन होता है ना. अगर पॉलिटिकल डेमोक्रेटिक पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम का फंक्शन देखेंगे हम, तो यही फंक्शंस है. सेटिंग द गोल्स, मोबिलाइजिंग द पीपल, देयर मोटिवेशंस, इजंट इट? तो ऐसे थोड़ा सा फैक्ट्स एंड कॉन्सेप्ट्स, थियोरेटिकल स्ट्रैंड्स यूज करके यू हैव टू मैनेज सच क्वेश्चंस टू ब्रिंग इन नोवेल्टी. मेन ऐसे क्वेश्चंस में चैलेंज ये है कि हाउ टू ब्रिंग समथिंग नोवेल, हाउ टू राइट समथिंग नोवेल, समथिंग डिफरेंट फ्रॉम माय कॉम्पिटिटर्स, इजंट इट? So this is what functions does religion perform in a pluralistic society? अब ये भी स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड क्वेश्चन है. सिविल सोसाइटी क्वेश्चन इज ऑल्सो स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन. नेचर ऑफ द क्वेश्चन इज डायरेक्ट. A scope is limited. You have to talk functionality of civil society for democracy, but थोड़ा सा you have to go beyond this scope, like applying, reflecting on the facts in today's society to bring novelty. Similarly, this question also, what functions does religion perform in a pluralistic society? In this question also, like you have to just apply functionalist perspective, right? Functions does religion perform in pluralistic society? Question ka nature is what? So you have to describe functionalist perspective, functionalist theory, isn't it? In a pluralistic society. And today's society is a pluralistic society. Modern society is a pluralistic society, isn't it? But in pre-conclusion, conclusive remark, you should bring in alternative thesis, है ना? ऐसे क्वेश्चंस में alternative thesis लाने चाहिए. नेक्स्ट ईयर भी अगर ऐसा क्वेश्चन आता है तो alternative thesis लेकर आप आएंगे, है ना? कि प्लूरलिस्टिक सोसाइटी में आर.के. मर्टन का थियरी क्या कहता है ऑन रिलीजन? कि इन प्लूरलिस्टिक सोसाइटी रिलीजन हैज आल्सो सम डिसफंक्शंस, राइट? कॉम्युनल कॉन्फ्लिक्ट, है ना? फंडामेंटलिज्म, fundamentalist politics, isn't it? That we saw in Afghanistan recently, that we see in Syria, Lebanon, that we see in recently conflict in Middle East countries, conflict in Myanmar, in Indian society also. At times we see communal conflict, communal tensions, isn't it? So सब एक दो पैराग्राफ के अंदर pre-conclusion to conclusion alternative thesis you should have written, है ना? Right. So अब ऐसे इफ यू सी प्रीवियसली तो ऐसा क्वेश्चन नहीं आया है कि व्हाट फंक्शन डज रिलीजन परफॉर्म इन प्लूरलिस्टिक सोसाइटी. ऐसा क्वेश्चन नहीं. थियरीज ऑफ रिलीजन पूछा हुआ है, इजंट इट? लेकिन अब ऐसा क्वेश्चन, दिस सीम्स टू बी इजी क्वेश्चन, लेकिन मार्क्स नहीं आएगा इसमें. इफ यू आर नॉट राइटिंग अल्टरनेटिव थीसिस, इफ यू आर जस्ट डिस्क्राइबिंग व्हाट फंक्शन डज रिलीजन परफॉर्म, उसको लिस्ट कर दिया, अल्टरनेटिव थीसिस नहीं लिखा, अगर अप्लाइड एग्जांपल नहीं लिखा, इफ यू आर नॉट राइटिंग अप्लाइड एग्जांपल्स, इजंट इट? From Myanmar, from Middle East countries, from India, isn't it? From Europe, conflict between Catholics and Protestants in Northern Ireland, isn't it? So फिर marks नहीं आएगा इसमें. You cannot expect like better score in such questions if you are not applying in contemporary times. मुझे लगता है कि although these questions seems to be easy, isn't it? Straightforward, right? लेकिन you need to understand change in pattern. Ki pattern, like earlier theories were asked, as in such question you have to refer to different functionalists. You have to refer to R.K. Merton, you have to refer to Emile Durkheim, you have to refer to Talcott Parsons, isn't it? You have to refer to Malinowski, you have to refer to Radcliffe Brown. 4 paragraphs तो आपको ये ले लेंगे, short question है, isn't it? So challenge would be writing active as well as applied. अब आपको यू हैव टू बी कॉन्साइज एंड प्रिसाइज. इधर आपके सोशियोलॉजिकल विजडम में, राइट, एकदम कॉन्साइजनेस एंड प्रिसाइजनेस होना चाहिए टू राइट सच क्वेश्चंस, सो दैट यू कुड अकोमोडेट मैक्सिमम डायमेंशंस विद इन लिमिटेड वर्ड्स. डिसिप्लिन होना चाहिए यहाँ पे, अटमोस्ट डिसिप्लिन, इजंट इट? तभी कॉम्पिटिटिव एज मिलेगा, तभी बेटर स्कोर आएगा. अदरवाइज ऐसा फीलिंग होगा कि हाँ मैंने लिख दिया, स्कोर नहीं आएगा, आप ब्लेम करेंगे सब्जेक्ट को, टीचर को, इजंट इट? कि टीचर नहीं, ये तो टीचर है, मार्क्स नहीं आया, सोशियोलॉजी सब्जेक्ट अच्छा नहीं है, काइंड ऑफ. ऑल like discipline in using knowledge matrix, writing maximum concisely and precisely, right? जिसके लिए आजकल आप prepared नहीं होते हैं, है ना? We are in a material world and be always oriented towards, gathering maximum, and always oriented to write maximum, not to write concise and precise. तो इस पे समझिएगा कि देयर इज चेंज इन द क्वेश्चन पैटर्न दैट रिक्वायर्स a different approach. That approach, central feature of that approach should be concise and precise reflection of theoretical strands and concepts, right? So this is, let us take some more question like does women education help to eradicate patriarchal discrimination? Reflect with illustrations. Does women education help to eradicate patriarchal discrimination? Reflect with illustration. अब यहाँ भी there is clear change in pattern. If you see earlier previous year questions related to education and social change, so you can see a straightforward questions. According to Durkheim, the major function of education is transmission of society's norms and values. Discuss. Education helps in perpetuating social and economic inequalities critically. मतलब one question you can see in previous year related to functionalist theory, Durkheim का theory. Another question, education helps in perpetuating social and economic inequalities, Marxist theory, isn't it? एक और question, if we see previously, education is often viewed as agency of social change. Direct question, right? However, in reality, it could also reinforce inequalities and conservatism. This question requires both functionalist as well as Marxist perspective to be applied. But this year question is different. These three questions I referred, these are previous year questions. ये previous year के questions हैं, है ना? एक functionalist perspective से, एक question Marxist, और एक question में both functionalist and Marxist. But this year question is different. Does women education help to eradicate patriarchal discrimination? Reflect with illustration. And इसलिए I had discussed, this year, like last year also, 22 में भी कुछ ऐसा एहसास तो हो गया था कि थोड़ा यूपीएससी का क्वेश्चनिंग माइक्रोस्कोपिक हो रहा है. So, like feminist perspective also, you have to prepare on education and change. You have to apply feminist perspective for writing this question. You have to refer to, does women's education help eradicate patriarchal discrimination? So liberal Marxist perspective, yes, education is a means for emancipation and empowerment. तो यहाँ पे आएगा क्या? Liberal feminist perspective apply करेंगे, isn't it? And example भी देंगे, those who are successful women in different spheres of society, be that industry, be that polity, isn't it? Then we will refer to Marxist feminist, isn't it? कि education is a means for capitalism, isn't it? Not for change in women's position. It has failed to eradicate patriarchal discrimination because Marxist feminism में क्या है कि Marxist feminists believe कि patriarchy conditioned by economy, isn't it? Like economic condition, mode of production, isn't it? Inequality in economic condition, mode of economic organization of production, mode of production is responsible for perpetuation of patriarchy in society. यही बात है, हमने डिस्कस किया हुआ है क्लासेस में डिटेल में, isn't it? So उनका एक पर्सपेक्टिव है कि education has limited success in helping women to eradicate patriarchy, right? Then radical feminist perspective you will write. Then black feminist perspective also you can refer. Some contemporary perspective में Sylvia Walby and all you can refer, isn't it? So perspective. अब ये सब like be that Sylvia Walby or these perspective, like that we discuss in different units of syllabus. You can reflect on and you can use that knowledge matrix for writing such answers, है ना? तो this question, like such question, what I mean to say कि ऐसे question expect करिए next year के लिए, and for such question you need not to read any extra notes or study material. just reflecting on the basics of feminist perspective, you can manage to write, because this question was asked in short question compulsory. You have to write in 150 words. 150 words में लिखना है. Reflect with illustration कह रहा है, तो कुछ successful women का some illustration, some facts you can give. कई बार रिपीट करता हूँ मैं क्लास में कि as per NSS survey, hardly 16 to 17% women in India working in non-agriculture based sector. Rest of the women are domesticated. You can give reference of states like Bihar, where only 8% women are working in non-agriculture based sector. UP, different states. You can do comparison also, isn't it? Of southern states and northern states, isn't it? So this says. So be ready for such change. जो ये change visible है. मैंने previous year का question भी refer किया कि previously such question was not asked. This year such question was asked by UPSC कि does women education help eradicate patriarchal discrimination? And such question requires sociological wisdom, isn't it? ऐसे question में you will have to apply your sociological wisdom. You will have to be syllabus bound, not topic bound. Education and change नहीं, पूरा syllabus bound होकर you have to write such question. Next is, what are the different dimensions of qualitative method? Do you think qualitative method help to gain deeper sociological insights? Give reasons. This is direct question, quantitative, qualitative. This you will see earlier also, like previous year में भी आप देखेंगे तो ऐसा क्वेश्चन सीधा स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड क्वेश्चन आया हुआ है पहले भी, क्वालिटेटिव एंड क्वांटिटेटिव मेथड रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन, राइट? Yes, no, earlier if you see, how do qualitative and quantitative method supplement each other in sociological inquiry? This is previous year question, है ना? Like before that, also analyze limitations of quantitative method. And this year question is, what are the different dimensions of qualitative method? Do you think qualitative method helps to gain deeper sociological insights? Give reason for your answer. अब again, जो change है उसको समझिए कि earlier there was a straight question, how do you qualitative and quantitative methods supplement each other in sociological inquiry? Analyze limitations of quantitative method in sociological research. And this year question is, what are the different dimensions of qualitative method? Do you think that qualitative method helps to gain a deeper sociological insights? Give reasons for your answers. These, like first part, what are the different dimensions of qualitative method? So you have to define qualitative dimensions, features. Do you think qualitative method helps to gain deeper sociological insights? So yes, reflecting on Weberian, methodology, first hand and all, you have to justify and give reason for your answer. While giving reasoning for your answer, यहाँ पे आता है कि आपका reasoning should not be, again I will say, कि आपका reasoning ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि जो मन में आया सो लिख दिए. इधर आपको you have to refer to Max Weber. आपको Max Weber को refer करना होगा ऐसे क्वेश्चंस में रीजनिंग देने के लिए, है ना? कि हाउ यू हैव टू गिव एग्जांपल्स, कि जैसे मैरिज का एग्जांपल, तो मैरिज फॉर पॉजिटिविस्ट क्वांटिटेटिव मेथड से, इज इट ऑफ रिसर्च पॉजिटिविज्म से, अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ मैरिज, एंड क्वालिटेटिव मेथड, इज इट नॉन पॉजिटिविस्ट मेथड से मैरिज. तो एग्जांपल इसमें यू विल हैव टू राइट एग्जांपल्स, इज इट? क्वांटिटेटिव मेथड से ठीक है, पॉजिटिव मेथड से हम समझते हैं कि कॉज, सीक्वेंस ऑफ कॉज एंड इफेक्ट बी फाइंड, इज इट? तो मैरिज का देयर इज सम कॉज, सम कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस, सम कंट्रीब्यूशन, फंक्शन, इज इट? बट पॉजिटिविस्ट फेल टू एक्सप्लेन कि व्हाई डिवोर्स, व्हाई सेपरेशन. सो देयर कम्स इन क्वालिटेटिव, राइट? सिंबॉलिक इंटरैक्शनिज्म, राइट? डेफिनेशन ऑफ सिचुएशन, कि सिचुएशन डिफाइंड टू बी happy, isn't it, compatible, so people enter into marriage, and situation defined to be hostile, and so people separate, isn't it? So this helps us as question. Question क्या कह रहा है कि helps to gain a deeper sociological insights. Give reasons for your answer. So yes, this helps to gain deeper sociological insights. ये हमें deeper sociological insights देता है. एंड तो ऐसे एग्जांपल्स गिव रीजंस में एग्जांपल्स देने होंगे, यस ना, राइट. सो दिस इज, इसमें भी लाइक you have to be ready for next year ki in such questions also, the topic which seems to be very straightforward, in such topics also you should be applied. थोड़ा exemplification आप देखेंगे printed notes में, तो in techniques of data collection I have given many examples, थोड़ा उससे insight लेना है आपने, है ना, right. ठीक है. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज एक्सप्लेन मैक्स वेबर्स थियरी ऑफ सोशल स्ट्रेटिफिकेशन. हाउ डज वेबर्स आइडिया ऑफ क्लास डिफर फ्रॉम दैट ऑफ कार्ल मार्क्स. दिस वाज आल्सो दिस ईयर टेस्ट का क्वेश्चन, मैंने टेस्ट में पूछा था ये क्वेश्चन, है ना. I will not say that this question is very unexpected. Earlier also this question, such type of question has been asked. This is direct question related to the topic, है ना. A scope is also limited here. कि explain Max Weber's theory of social stratification. How does Weber's idea of class differ from that of Karl Marx? अब इसमें मिस्टेक होने का चांस क्या रहता है कि how does Weber idea of class differ from Marx पूछा है कि class का idea differ from Marx, and many students have written this year, जो मेरी बात हुई कि how does Weber's idea of social stratification different from Karl Marx, ये लिख कर आ गए, तो इसमें प्रॉब्लम है, राइट. In such questions, nature of such question is easy, है ना. A scope is limited, a scope limited है. अब इसमें अनलिमिटेड करके आ गए बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स. एक्सप्लेन मैक्स वेबर्स थियरी ऑफ सोशल स्ट्रेटिफिकेशन, तो सिंपल जो मैक्स वेबर का ट्रिनिटेरियन पर्सपेक्टिव है क्लास, स्टेटस एंड पार्टी का, दैट यू शुड राइट. एंड हाउ डज वेबर्स आइडिया ऑफ क्लास डिफर फ्रॉम दैट ऑफ मार्क्स, तो फिर क्लास का आइडिया में यू शुड हैव डिटेल्ड कि मार्क्स का like economic deterministic model of class, idea of class, is it of have and have nots, and Weberian idea of class that based on interpretation, is it, and class based on market position, है ना, जो उनका 4 क्लास का मॉडल है, that should have been detailed. अब इन सच क्वेश्चंस नोवेल्टी इज इंपॉर्टेंट. नोवेल्टी लाने के लिए इन सच क्वेश्चंस यू शुड हैव गिवन मोर एंड मोर एग्जांपल्स फ्रॉम टुडेज सोसाइटी. आज जो सोसाइटी में आपका विजिबल है एक पैराग्राफ में, जो भी शॉर्ट क्वेश्चन है ना. सो इन वन पैराग्राफ आपको सॉरी लॉन्ग क्वेश्चन है, सो 1 or 2 पैराग्राफ में यू शुड हैव गिवन लाइक एग्जांपल्स ऑफ क्लास डाइवर्सिफिकेशन इन टुडेज सोसाइटी एज अ क्रिटिक टू कार्ल Marx. I mean, not critic to Karl Marx, मतलब Weberian concept of class help us to understand this diversity of classes in today's society, है ना, differentiation of classes in today's society, not that of Karl Marx. और आज आप further concepts जो decomposition का concept है, that also you can use, isn't it, थोड़ा novelty factor बढ़ाने के लिए, novelty factor के लिए, है ना. So this is, तो नेक्स्ट ईयर के लिए भी सच लाइक डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन आल्सो यू कैन एक्सपेक्ट, इजंट इट. बट इन डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन यू हैव टू बी विजिलेंट, यू हैव टू बी अवेयर, यू हैव टू बी ओरिएंटेड टू ब्रिंग नोवेल्टी बाय अप्लाइंग इन डे टू डे लाइफ. आज के सोसाइटी में अप्लाई करके, है ना, कि द चेंजेस लाइक आज स्ट्रक्चरल डिफरेंशिएशन हुआ जैसे अर्बन कंपनी. अब डोंट यू थिंक कि अर्बन कंपनी एंड सच many organizations has played important role in formalization of manual work, and so expansion of manual working class, है ना. तो जो वेबर का क्लासिफिकेशन है कि बिग propertied bourgeois class, then unpropertied white collar class, third petty bourgeois, and manual working class. So manual working class also in today's society, what we see is highly mobile, isn't it? Getting your point. Social mobility is high. That class is also expanding, isn't it? With institutionalization of informal work in society, है ना. तो ऐसे कुछ नोवेल फैक्टर्स लिखोगे, ओरिएंटेड रहोगे ऐसा, एंड फ्रीली लिखोगे, मतलब कोई ऐसा नहीं कि बुक में ऐसा नहीं दिया है तो नहीं लिखेंगे. इन सच क्वेश्चन यू विल हैव टू ब्रिंग नोवेल्टी टू गेट सम एक्स्ट्रा मार्क्स. ऐसे क्वेश्चन में हमें कुछ नोवेल लिखना होगा, है ना. Next is what are the ethical issues that a researcher faces in making use of observation as a method of collecting data? Explanation करना है. अब ethical issues में there are many issues, like cultural sensitivity, deception, privacy का issues रहता है, confidentiality. Many times, researchers do not take informed consent, है ना, from the subject. Researchers' bias is there. Power ka, like conflict situation may, at times we see caste ka issues are there, है ना. Data collection में ethical issues. तो what I mean to say कि ऐसे questions में short question है, डायरेक्ट टॉपिक रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन है कि आपका मेथड्स ऑफ डेटा कलेक्शन में सभी के नोट्स में, चाहे मेरे स्टूडेंट्स हो या अदर इंस्टीट्यूशन से हो जो अभी अटेंड कर रहे हैं, आप सबके नोट्स में पार्टिसिपेंट ऑब्जर्वेशन जरूर डिस्कस किया होगा. यू मस्ट हैव डिस्कस्ड, राइट. उसमें एथिकल इश्यूज भी डिस्कस किया होगा. जस्ट ट्राई टू लिस्ट मैक्सिमम इश्यूज टू गेट कॉम्पिटिटिव एज. मतलब इसमें कॉम्पिटिशन क्या है कि यू हैव टू लिस्ट मैक्सिमम इश्यूज, इजंट इट? Such question has been asked earlier. Participant observation related question पहले भी पूछा है, लेकिन this year UPSC has been specific पूछ दिया कि ethical issues क्या है. Otherwise earlier also if you see techniques of data collection में, तो participant observation is the most effective tool for collecting data, collecting facts, comment. Previous year में भी question है ऐसा, right? Participant observation related question है, but this year is specific, थोड़ा माइक्रोस्कोपिक, एंड दैट वी कैन सी इन मेनी अदर क्वेश्चंस आल्सो. जैसे आई सेड कि इन दैट मेजर थियोरेटिकल स्ट्रैंड रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन में ड्रामाटर्जिकल एनालिसिस, राइट, अंडरस्टैंडिंग सोसाइटी और लाइफ, तो सोशल लाइफ, तो माइक्रोस्कोपिक हो गया. यूपीएससी हैज बीन माइक्रोस्कोपिक हियर, इजंट इट? सो नेक्स्ट ईयर आल्सो you can expect, and you should be ready ki ethical issues in like limitations in non-participant methodology, and issues and problems in interview method of data collection, ऐसा पूरा aware रहना है ना, right? Learning from this nature and scope of this question, right? So this is. Next question is, explain how economic globalization has brought change in pattern of employment in 21st century. Yahi. This question, as I said earlier, ki every year you should expect 2 to 3 questions, indirect, unrelated, isn't it? But you can manage, manage by reflecting on your studies, whatever you have learned, by using your sociological wisdom, you can manage. Explain how economic globalization has brought changes in pattern of employment in 21st century. है ना? So simple pattern of employment. So here you have to long question. This is long question. Here you will have to like reflect on. This is not directly related to any topic of the syllabus. So reflect on thinkers. Thinkers को reflect करिए. Bring the in such questions, reflect on the thinkers, reflect on their perspective, right? Their point of views, right? And economic globalization, functionalist perspective. Economic globalization, functionalist perspective, 𝐒𝐫𝐸 perspective, changing division of labor, change in pattern of employment. Changing division of labor, isn't it? Change in pattern of employment, है ना? Right? Simple division of labor to a specialized division of labor. So today we see a specialization, isn't it? A specialized knowledge, isn't it? A specialization in employment pattern, right? Increasing volume of population, material density, moral density, with increasing urbanization, differentiation of economic structure, specialization. यही चेंज सब लिखना है ना? जस्ट मतलब अब यहाँ पे मैं डिटेल डिस्कस नहीं कर सकता. आई एम जस्ट like giving you some tips कि how to manage. Apply functionalist perspective, 𝐒𝐫𝐸 का perspective, apply Marxist perspective, isn't it? Economic globalization and changing mode of production, है ना? Apply Talcott-Parsons का perspective, change in adaptational capacity of the society after economic globalization and change in pattern of employment, isn't it? So this is how you should manage these questions. ये जितना गिग इकोनॉमी और ये सब आईटी सेक्टर का ग्रोथ, ये सब आपको लिखना है रिफ्लेक्टिंग ऑन थिंकर्स का पर्सपेक्टिव, थिंकर्स के पर्सपेक्टिव पे रिफ्लेक्ट करते हुए. तो यू शुड बी रेडी फॉर सच क्वेश्चन नेक्स्ट ईयर ऑल्सो. ऐसे क्वेश्चन नेक्स्ट ईयर भी आ सकते हैं, है ना. एंड दिस इज समथिंग you can say, like earlier also globalization related question has been asked, but not globalization and employment pattern, isn't it? तो इस ऐसे क्वेश्चंस के लिए नेक्स्ट ईयर भी आप रेडी रहेंगे. नेक्स्ट ईयर पेपर 2 में सेम क्वेश्चन में भी आस्क इन पेपर 2, है ना. और दीज क्वेश्चंस आर इजी टू राइट. कभी पैनिक नहीं होना कि बुक्स में नहीं दिया है, नोट्स में नहीं दिया है, तो these क्वेश्चंस आर डिफिकल्ट, सोशियोलॉजी has become difficult subject. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. You have to just reflect on 5-6 thinkers theoretical perspectives. You have to reflect on knowledge matrix that you have, like in your sociological wisdom, है ना. आपको सिलेबस बाउंड होकर इस क्वेश्चन का आंसर करना है. ऐसे क्वेश्चन मस्ट बी, such question must be answered being syllabus bound, not topic bound, right? So this is next question, again novel question but doable question. डरने वाला क्वेश्चन नहीं है. These questions are not the question to be fearful of. Do you think that social media has brought significant change in forms of protest? Argue your case. अपना केस बताइए. Do you think that social media has brought significant change in forms of protest? तो yes, अब सच क्वेश्चंस में like सोशल मीडिया का जो चैनल मीन्स है उसको डिस्क्राइब कर देना है, प्रोटेस्ट को डिफाइन कर देना है, एंड like change in forms of protest. तो yes, the form of protest, आज अगर if you like have understanding of new social movements, you can easily write this question. ठीक है ना. केवल न्यू सोशल मूवमेंट्स का कॉन्सेप्ट, उसका कॉन्सेप्चुअल स्ट्रैंड रिफ्लेक्ट करके आप लिख सकते हैं कि हाउ टुडे like forms of protest meant for democratization, isn't it, with the help of social media, right? How these are meant for like how a speed and reach of the protest, a speed of the protest, मतलब social media के through like number of people, isn't it, are linked, isn't it, come together, है ना, and that too in minimum possible time. So a speed and maximum number of people reach of the movement has increased, है ना. So this is the change, right? Online activism has increased, है ना. Surveillance and counter protest has also increased, right? तो ये सब changes है, right? तो बहुत सारे ऐसे, मतलब just on reflecting on conceptual strands, this has become, protest has become leaderless. जैसा कि न्यू सोशल मूवमेंट में आप पढ़ते हैं कि न्यू सोशल मूवमेंट्स आर लीडरलेस मूवमेंट्स, जैसे #MeToo, isn't it? तो ये सब दे सकते हैं. जैसे अभी रिसेंट टाइम्स में बी दैट अरब स्प्रिंग का प्रोटेस्ट, है ना. करंट कंटेम्प्रेरी अफेयर्स में पढ़ते होंगे आप लोग, अरब स्प्रिंग पॉलिटी में, इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस में या इवेंट्स में, अरब स्प्रिंग, फ्यू इयर्स बैक, ब्लैक लाइफ मैटर्स का प्रोटेस्ट, मी टू मूवमेंट, ये सब क्या है, सोशल मीडिया बेस्ड, isn't it, right? So this is, so ऐसे like such questions are doable, easily doable, बस you need readiness, यहां से readiness चाहिए, है ना. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, और ऐसे क्वेश्चंस के लिए नेक्स्ट ईयर भी रेडी रहो. दीज आर नॉट डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चंस. ऐसा नहीं है कि कहीं इसके लिए अब आपको फिर से अलग से एक्स्ट्रा ऑनलाइन क्लास और अपडेशन क्लास और सम नोट्स और बुक्स ये सब करना है. एंड दिस इज वन ऑफ द क्वेश्चन you have to write only here I am analyzing 8 questions asked this year by UPSC. You will have to write only 5 out of 8. सब लिखना का कंपल्सन नहीं होता. नॉट यू आर नॉट expected to write all questions, only 5 questions, isn't it? But these questions not direct related to the topic but doable questions by applying sociological wisdom. आपको तो जीएस में 50% क्वेश्चन लिखना होगा अपने विजडम से. Hardly 50% question you will find like related to your notes. 50% of GS questions you will have to manage. You will have to manage, isn't it, by applying your wisdom, है ना. तो यहाँ भी 1-2 क्वेश्चन को मैनेज कर लोगे. ऐसा नेक्स्ट ईयर भी ऐसा क्वेश्चन आता है तो, राइट. सो दिस इज नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज So next question is assess critically A.G. Frank's theory of development and underdevelopment. ठीक है. This question I will say not direct, indirect related to development and dependency, but ये discuss करते हैं. I discuss, मैंने आपको discuss किया हुआ A.G. Frank का development and dependency topic में, isn't it? So simply you have to, चूंकि question का nature is assessment करना है, assessment, critically assessment. So A.G. Frank theory, briefly, theory of development, underdevelopment of A.G. Frank, and then critical assessment by reflecting on modernization theory of Rostov. जो Rostov साहब का modernization theory है, उसको रेफर करके. इसमें many students have committed mistake. बहुत सारे बच्चे तो जो रिफ्लेक्ट नहीं कर पाए, नाम से डर गए, डेवलपमेंट टर्म को देख के डर गए, डेवलपमेंट एंड डिपेंडेंसी नहीं लिख पाए. अदरवाइज generally, like in all notes you will find, like not only in my notes, in general sociology का development and dependency related notes में A.G. Frank's का like concept is mentioned, and their question का requirement was the demand of question, the need of context of the question is not detailing on A.G. Frank, but briefing on A.G. Frank and writing more on critical assessment by modernization theory. Because today, even in Indian society also, like modernization theory is more relevant than dependency theory, है ना. हमारा जो गवर्नमेंट का ओरिएंटेशन है, पॉलिसी ओरिएंटेशन है, तो वो मॉडर्नाइजेशन थियरी की तरफ है, राइट. जो का है डिफरेंट स्टेजेस ऑफ मॉडर्नाइजेशन, गिविंग अप द ट्रेडिशनल एंड अडॉप्टिंग टू द राइट मॉडर्न, इज इट, है ना. सो दिस इज क्रिटिसिज्म में लास्ट में अपन ये कह सकते हैं कि नॉट ओनली मॉडर्नाइजेशन थियरी, कंक्लूजन में नॉट ओनली A.G. Frank's not modernization. In today's society we see, like the policy of inward orientation, right, in many states. Neither modern, like Rostov is fully relevant, nor in many nation states, nor neither Rostov is relevant nor A.G. Frank, isn't it? Today every nation state and most of the democratic nation states are making policies as per the practical pragmatic needs of the people, right, citizens, है ना. तो इस लाइन पे कंक्लूजन ऐसे क्वेश्चन को होना चाहिए, ठीक है. So this is so doable question है. This question is although like direct question, थोड़ा सा content management में you will have to be watchful, like you will have to be alert in content management, isn't it, in such questions. Next year if such questions comes, so critically assess critically है, तो not detailing of A.G. Frank, rather briefing on A.G. Frank, detailing on criticism, ये ध्यान रखना है, ठीक है. Next question is what is terrorism, analyze its merits and demerits. अब terrorism is not mentioned anywhere in syllabus, है ना. But we do discuss, I have mentioned in my printed notes also. Printed notes में भी new innovations in capitalism, work organization में से related a topic है, new innovations in capitalist work organization, है ना. आपका एक topic है ना, work organization. In work organization there are many innovations. One new innovation is that of Taylorism, isn't it, propounded by Taylor, तो इसको हम लिख सकते हैं बाय रिफ्लेक्टिंग ऑन. अगर ऐसा क्वेश्चन नेक्स्ट ईयर रिपीट होता है, जैसे टेलरिज्म इस बार आ गया, न्यू इनोवेशन इन वर्क ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, साइंटिफिक मैनेजमेंट थियरी इनका है, टेलर का साइंटिफिक मैनेजमेंट थियरी. सो सच क्वेश्चन लाइक यू कैन एक्सपेक्ट नेक्स्ट ईयर, नॉट रिलेटेड टू टेलर, रिलेटेड टू एल्टन मायो, ह्यूमन रिलेशन थियरी, isn't it? पहले भी पूछा हुआ है, अर्लियर ऑल्सो ह्यूमन रिलेशंस theory of work organization has been asked. From that new innovation section, new innovation of work organization, you can expect such question next year, है ना. New innovation जैसे global production है, new innovation mass production है, isn't it? So such question you can expect. Yes, na? Right. This was, I will not say this was some although question is indirect, but this is doable question. जिसने अगर एक्सपेक्ट, जिसने कवर किया होगा न्यू इनोवेशन इन वर्क ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस, है ना. आपका जो सिलेबस का टॉपिक है वर्क ऑर्गेनाइजेशन डिफरेंट सोसाइटीज, उसमें कैपिटलिस्ट सोसाइटी में न्यू इनोवेशन का डिस्कशन, मैं तो करता ही हूँ, आपके प्रिंटेड नोट्स में भी दिया होता है ना। सो ये समझना है। देखो स्ट्रेट क्वेश्चन इस टॉपिक से क्या होता है, स्ट्रेट क्वेश्चन होता है लाइक डिफरेंस बिटवीन स्लेव मोड ऑफ वर्क ऑर्गेनाइजेशन एंड कैपिटलिस्ट मोड ऑफ वर्क ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, ऐसा स्ट्रेट क्वेश्चन होगा। इनडायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन लाइक टेररिज्म, इनडायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन लाइक ह्यूमन रिलेशन थियरी, तो नेक्स्ट ईयर के लिए ऐसा रहना, इनडायरेक्ट के लिए भी रेडीनेस रखना, राइट। What are new religious movement? Elaborate, emphasizing their forms and orientation. अब इसमें many students, many students fail to understand new religious movement, right? So look, this is indirect question related to cult and sects. जितना एक cult and sect based religious organization है, mobilization of people है, isn't it? है ना, religious cultural mobilization movement, that is what we are supposed to write in this answer of this question, है ना। many students could not understand new religious movement, कोई surprise हो गया नहीं, cult and जो cult का second part is elaborate, emphasizing on their forms and orientation. So the forms and orientation of cult and sect, we are supposed to write majorly the forms and orientation of cult and sect organizations, isn't it? तो ऐसा अवेयर रहना नेक्स्ट ईयर के लिए भी, कुछ सच इनडायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन मे बी, अर्लियर सेक्ट एंड कल्ट रिलेटेड डायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन फिर आस्क्ड, है ना, लेकिन इस बार थोड़ा इनोवेशन कर दिया यूपीएससी ने। भी डुएबल है, विल नॉट से कि दिस इज डिफिकल्ट क्वेश्चन, हाँ इनडायरेक्ट क्वेश्चन बट डुएबल क्वेश्चन, राइट। दोज हु हैड ओरिएंटेशन टू यूज नॉलेज मैट्रिक्स, उन्होंने मैनेज कर लिया, बीइंग सिलेबस बाउंड, नॉट क्वेश्चन बाउंड। तो ऐसा ओरिएंटेशन रखिए, सिलेबस का यूज करिए, पूरे सिलेबस को पूरे साल आप प्रिपेयर करते हैं, यू प्रिपेयर फॉर 1 ईयर 2 ईयर 3 इयर्स, एंड लास्ट में टॉपिक एंड ये नहीं, मेनी क्वेश्चंस विल हैव टू बी सिलेबस बाउंड, है ना, राइट। सो दिस इज लास्टली, examine role of science and technology in addressing age-old taboos and superstitions. अब दिस इज ऑल्सो माइक्रोस्कोपिक, यहां भी एक बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस में, जैसे इन दिस क्वेश्चन 2, एग्जामिन द रोल ऑफ साइंस टेक्नोलॉजी इन एड्रेसिंग एज ओल्ड टैबूज एंड सुपरस्टिशन, तो ऐसा क्वेश्चन नहीं पूछा कि साइंस टेक्नोलॉजी एंड सोशल चेंज, ये जनरल क्वेश्चन, मतलब पैटर्न आप देखोगे तो कुछ ऐसा ही पैटर्न रहता है ना, एक्सपेक्टेड पैटर्न ही रहता है। इस बार जो चेंज, लाइक इन मेनी क्वेश्चंस वी सी द चेंज इन पैटर्न, कि स्पेसिफिक हैज बीन आस्क्ड, है ना, नॉट जनरल, स्पेसिफिक। एग्जामिन द रोल ऑफ साइंस टेक्नोलॉजी इन एड्रेसिंग एज ओल्ड टैबूज एंड सुपरस्टिशन, राइट। सो एज ओल्ड टैबूज एंड सुपरस्टिशंस रिलेटेड टू फैमिली, मैरिज, इज इट, फूड हैबिट्स, लाइफस्टाइल, राइट, ड्रेस कोड, है ना, एग्रीकल्चर, इकोनॉमी, इज इट, एजुकेशन, participation in public, है ना, entry into religious places, right। तो साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी हैज प्लेड इंपॉर्टेंट रोल, साइंटिफिक रेवोल्यूशन, यहाँ साइंस टेक्नोलॉजी को साइंटिफिक रेवोल्यूशन से रिलेट कर दोगे, साइंटिफिक रेवोल्यूशन, मॉडर्नाइजेशन, इज इट हैज प्लेड इंपॉर्टेंट रोल इन एड्रेसिंग एज ओल्ड टैबूज एंड सुपरस्टिशंस, है ना। साइंटिफिक एजुकेशन, साइंटिफिक इनोवेशंस, इज इट इज old superstition tha not to travel overseas, isn't it? But that was challenge, after innovation of globe, discovery of new routes, isn't it? So time scale pe this question should have been managed, right? अब इसमें you will have to use your knowledge matrix, मतलब ये नहीं होगा, हो सकता है कि आपके नोट्स में ये टर्म्स ना हो, age old taboos and superstitions, but these are manageable questions। इसमें बहुत ज्यादा हमें अपना मतलब ऐसा स्ट्रेस नहीं लेना चाहिए ऐसे क्वेश्चंस में, जस्ट फंक्शंस ऑफ साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी इन एड्रेसिंग। अब चूंकि एग्जामिन है तो लिमिटेशंस भी बात करेंगे कि मेनी एज ओल्ड टैबूज एंड सुपरस्टिशंस, इज इट टुडे विद द हेल्प ऑफ सोशल मीडिया इज बीइंग प्रोपोगेटेड, इज इट, है ना। आप देखिए, मतलब बहुत सारे इस तरीके के सुपरस्टिशन स्प्रेड भी हो रहे हैं, बहुत सारे बाबाज एंड लाइक many, not only from one particular religion, from different religious, communities. In different religious communities, you will see, like superstitious theological things being revived with the help of, modern media, isn't it? That is based on, modern technology, digital technology. तो limitations भी बात करेंगे, ठीक है ना? So this is, so ठीक है. So overall, if I conclude this pattern of questioning by UPSC this year, like there are some questions directly, related to previous year pattern, but in many questions, you have to be microscopic, you have to be specific, you have to be applied, है ना? And you should for next year, I will suggest you should holistically, list the points related to particular topic, the conceptual points, theoretical strands, the facts, right? Facts of the past, facts in contemporary society. Listing is important. Listing is important to deal with. Let's say many of my students, they managed to write this question: what is the distinctiveness of the feminist method of social research? But many could not. Those who could not reflect, they did not write this question, है ना? तो रिफ्लेक्शन के लिए जरूरी क्या है कि समथिंग ऑफ द होल सिलेबस शुड बी लिस्टेड, राइट? एक तो अपन जो डिटेल डिस्कशन नोट्स बनाते हैं क्लास में, वो तो है, ठीक है, डिटेल डिस्कशन का नोट्स, राइट? बट अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट, लिस्टिंग का नोट शुड बी सेपरेट, ठीक है ना? टॉपिक जैसे सिंबॉलिक इंटरेक्शनिज्म पढ़ाया, जिससे रिलेटेड देयर इज अ क्वेश्चन, ड्रामेटर्जिकल एनालिसिस वाला क्वेश्चन. तो symbolic interactionism में I discuss, कि what are the basic premises of symbolic interactionism, then some theoretical strands related to symbolic interactionism. तो उसमें meaningful symbols, 𝐒𝐫𝐤𝐚𝐦, then looking glass self, 𝐒𝐨𝐜𝐿, then definition of situation, Thomas and Thomas, then I discuss dramaturgical analysis of Goffman. So ये सब listing होना चाहिए. You must list dramaturgical analysis, Goffman, just list and keep revising, so that you could reflect. अगर such a specific question asked, you are able to reflect. ऐसा नहीं कि केवल basic दिमाग में रखे हुए symbolic interactionism, बस within that, whatever points I have mentioned, whatever concepts I have discussed, that should be listed, wisely. और जैसा मैं कहता हूँ, आप क्लास में भी डिस्कस करते हैं, क्लास के बाहर मेरे से ज्यादा आप डिस्कस करते रहते है ना? तो जो डिस्कशन क्लास के बाहर हो, वो एप्लीकेशन पे हो. मोर एंड मोर एप्लीकेशन ओरिएंटेशन, शुड बी देयर, इजंट इट? आफ्टर द क्लास, पोस्ट क्लास डिस्कशन में जो आप मेरे से डिस्कस करते भी है कई बार, तो उसमें एप्लीकेशन है ना, कि दिस इज रेलेवेंट इन दिस कॉन्टेक्स्ट, इन पर्टिकुलर कॉन्टेक्स्ट, इन सोशल, इकोनॉमिक, पॉलिटिकल, कल्चरल, ग्लोबल एस्पेक्ट ऑफ सोसाइटी टुडे, इजंट इट? सो इजी है, डुएबल है. थोड़ा सब्सटेंशियल चेंज विजिबल है इस मायने में कि क्वेश्चंस required, microscopic perspective. A scope is not generalized कि बस जो टॉपिक में है वो लिख दो. Rather, a particular specific aspect, of that topic should have been written in many questions, है ना? ऐसा change is visible, ऐसा change visible है, right? So this is something, I wanted to discuss with you all. And for today, this is paper 1. Paper 2 I will discuss in some other live streaming session में, ठीक है ना? अभी I have started, this was first, I will also learn how to improvise further, क्योंकि मेरी आदत ऐसी नहीं है लैपटॉप कंप्यूटर के सामने बैठ के बोलने का, स्टूडेंट के साथ बात करने का है, क्लास में डिस्कस करने का है. But anyways, we need of the R is that we have to be, like one-on-one through such channels. So in next session, I will discuss, paper 2, right? So some questions are there. Pankaj Yadav, how to connect sociological perspective of paper 1 in paper 2? This is very easy, dear. As I said, like paper 1. Paper 1 may suppose you have studied, Marxist perspective. In Marxist perspective, historical materialism, right? In historical materialism or class struggle, you learn about many concepts: pauperization, proletariatization, homogenization of classes, isn't it? When you are studying, A.R. Desai ka perspective, so there also, like, you will find a good connect, isn't it, of sociological perspective of paper 1, Marxist perspective, and perspective of A.R. Desai, isn't it? He has also described, he has studied Indian society in historical stages, pre-colonial stage, colonial stage, and post-colonial stage. Right? Colonial stage he considered as capitalist stage. Change in mode of production because of compulsions of capitalism, isn't it? And that capitalist, mode of production introduced by the colonial rulers, isn't it, caused pauperization. The policies of colonial rulers caused pauperization in rural areas, pauperization, proletariatization. So this is like, it's like when you are writing, suppose any question related to paper 2 topics, जैसे poverty elevation schemes, MG Narega. So you have to connect, sociological perspective, writing MG Narega, Mahatma Gandhi Narega, right? Functionalist perspective, Marxist perspective, right? Feminist perspective, right? And how this has been functional in improving adaptational capacity, goal attainment of constitution, democratization of wages, isn't it? So you can apply. This is just, like over the period of time, try to be efficient in this manner. Rishabh Kumar, how to revise and when, how to start answer writing? Look, revision, like, is first level of revision should be done with, listing of the dimensions. Suppose historical materialism, so dimensions. You are revising your detailed notes. So write 6 dimension briefly in half of the page. What is historical materialism? What are the basic premises, concepts of historical materialism? Then why, from where did he borrow the concept of historical materialism? From where did Marx borrow? I mean, historical from Hegel, and materialism from Feuerbach. Then stages of historical materialism. Just point, the dimensions, isn't it? And first level of revision, detailed revision with listing of dimensions. Second level of revision, only revision of those dimensions. And every time you revise, try to correlate, try to write some facts from paper 2 in second revision, in third revision, in fourth revision. Every time you revise, try to write something from contemporary society, from paper 2, from your general studies papers. So follow this pattern of revision, right? So this is, and how to start answer writing. Look, the right time, ki after completion of syllabus, revision at least for 2 times, you start writing answer. Look, topic wise answer writing is easy, but in many questions, to write something, extra for value addition, or to deal with indirect questions, you need to be syllabus bound. Syllabus bound होना पड़ता है, पूरा syllabus को reflect करके लिखना होता है, something from every topic, isn't it? So my suggestion would be कि at least revise your notes twice and then start writing answer. Before that, for entertainment, for creative engagement and entertaining yourself, you can start writing from day 1 of your reading and studies, है ना? डे 1 से शुरू कर लो, उसमें तो कोई बात ही नहीं है. लेकिन जो रिजल्ट ओरिएंटेड आउटकम बेस्ड आंसर राइटिंग होगा, वो होगा आफ्टर एटलीस्ट 2 रिविजन्स ऑफ योर नोट्स, है ना। रिवीजन करिए, एंड रिवीजन भी बस कहानी नहीं पढ़ना है, लिस्टिंग लिस्टिंग करिए। यस सर, मगअप कैसे करें, प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है। रिवाइज मल्टीपल टाइम्स, यू विल मगअप। मगअप इज नॉट समथिंग सेपरेट और डिफरेंट थिंग। रिवाइज मल्टीपल टाइम्स, यू विल मगअप, यू विल बी एबल टू राइट, है ना। You will be able to reflect with revisions. Revise to be wise. Discipline your mind to the limited dimensions that you write down during first revision. फर्स्ट रिवीजन में जो लिमिट करते हो उसी को बार बार पढ़ना है। यू हैव टू रिवाइज, रीड दैट टाइम एंड अगेन। ये तो चैलेंज है, क्योंकि अभी लाइक रिवीजन ही तो चैलेंज है, because social media, YouTube, Telegram, these channels, are not letting you to revise things. Every day you are getting something new, something new, something new, isn't it? So ये आईएएस बनना है तो एटलीस्ट ये टेलीग्राम चैनल्स वगैरह को डिलीट कर दो, है ना। सोशल मीडिया से कंटेंट को रोको, बैन करो उस पे कि नहीं, आई विल नॉट लेट न्यू कंटेंट टू डिस्टर्ब माई अटेंशन, इज इट माई डिसिप्लिन, है ना। उसको डिस्टर्ब नहीं करने दूंगा मैं टेलीग्राम से और फेसबुक से और फ्री का कंटेंट से, यहां से वहां से नहीं करने दूंगा मैं। अदरवाइज लगे रहोगे मुन्ना भाई के जैसे, है ना, रिजल्ट नहीं होगा। ठीक है। What is the right time to start test series while doing syllabus or later? First, complete the syllabus, revise twice, and then write test. Otherwise, if you go to write test, go for writing test, if you start writing, test answers, without appropriate and proper revision, there are all chances that you will lose all your motivation, your spirit, है ना। क्योंकि परफॉर्म नहीं करेंगे आप, नेगेटिव रिमार्किंग होगा, डर जाएंगे, isn't it? So first complete syllabus, read and revise, and then write. What should be the approach for change in pattern? And every time when new thinker specific like Leela Dubey, Morgan, how to go about it? Should go for preparing such thinkers in detail? No, you should not. Every year you will find 2 or 3 questions, such questions, which you have to manage. Just forget about them, है ना। Next year also 2 to 3 questions will be there, which you will have to manage. Last year also, Leela Dubey was asked, but many students managed to get 295, 296, 300 marks, and relative good selection के लिए, ठीक है ना। Your orientation should be there towards syllabus, completing the syllabus wisely, isn't it? And over the period of time, a sociological wisdom. You must have sociological wisdom here. You should be disciplined to the syllabus. You should be syllabus bound. You should be theory bound. You should be concept bound, isn't it? है ना। बाकी तो ये 1-2 लीला दुबे, मॉर्गन, नेक्स्ट टाइम कुछ और आते रहेंगे, है ना। राइट। सो वरी नॉट, डेविएट नहीं होना है। संजीव सर, प्रिंटेड नोट्स और क्लास नोट्स दोनों में कौन मैंडेटरी 2024 एस्पिरेंट? क्लास नोट्स विद प्रिंटेड नोट्स, जो प्रिंटेड नोट्स में एक्स्ट्रा रीडिंग दिया हुआ है उसको आपको करना है, ठीक है ना। जैसे न्यू इनोवेशन इन वर्क ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, that I have mentioned in printed notes, and in class also I suggest to read that thrice, isn't it? कुछ facts है, समझ में आ जाएगा, ठीक है। That is, and ultimately, 20 points on every topic in your sociological wisdom. 20 points in every topic. That is what matters in exam, right? और देखो जीएस में यहाँ तो आई सजेस्ट कि 90%, मैंने हर साल मैं orientation class in my orientation class, I guarantee 90% of the question will be related to your class notes, printed notes, isn't it? 90% plus, and hardly 3 to 4 questions would be indirect, maybe 1 question or 2 question novel also, but 90% to hoga na. With that confidence, you will be able to do rest 10%. Worry not. In general studies, you will have to manage every year 50% of the question. 50% तो हर साल ही मैनेज करना होता है in GS 1, 2, 3, 4, है ना. तो कभी ऐसा नहीं मान के चलो कि यू हैव टू प्रिपेयर फॉर ईच एंड एवरी क्वेश्चन बिफोर हैंड. नहीं, ऐसा नहीं होगा, राइट. When to start test series? If you have completed syllabus, you can start test series, man. After a good revision, fine revision, at least 2 revisions, है ना. We need to do current affairs for sociology. When to start? See, current affairs sociology कुछ नहीं होता है ना. This is a scam actually. Current affairs आप GS के लिए करिए, and जनरल स्टडीज के लिए भी सिलेबस बाउंड while reading current affairs booklets, isn't it? Syllabus bound होके GS syllabus bound करिए, isn't it? And use that current affairs whenever required in sociology also. You will have to give only reference, है ना. किसी को नया टीचर अगर क्या बोलते हैं, कोच बनना होता है, तो वो जबरदस्ती का हर मैटर में ही सोशियोलॉजी निकाल देगा. इजराइल फिलिस्तीन कॉन्फ्लिक्ट, सोशियोलॉजी ऑफ इजराइल फिलिस्तीन कॉन्फ्लिक्ट, है ना. सोशियोलॉजी ऑफ फ्लड, ठीक है ना. तो ये सब चलता रहता है, सिस्टम चलता रहता है ये, ठीक है ना. सब रिक्रिएटिव एंगेजमेंट होता है आपका, isn't it? These are meant for recreative engagement, current affairs sociology and all. You please study sociology, isn't it? And reflect on the facts, isn't it, related to Indian society or global society, isn't it, that you prepare for general studies current affairs. ठीक है ना, हो जाएगा, right. Need not to do anything extra for current affairs. If you are my student, every year after prelims and before mains, I give a list of contemporary topics relevant for syllabus, extracting from many sources, newspapers, and hardly 50 topics, not more than that. My orientation is not to overburden my students, है ना, क्योंकि वो कैपिटलिस्ट वाला ओरिएंटेशन नहीं रहता कि बेचो, ज्यादा दो, मटेरियल दो, नहीं, ऐसा नहीं. And this year also from that contemporary booklet, न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी, CSR एंड ऑल, ये क्वेश्चन मैनेज हो गया. पेपर 2 का कॉन्सेप्ट क्वेश्चन था न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी रिलेटेड, तो मैनेजेबल है. एंड इन एनी करंट अफेयर्स टॉपिक यू हैव टू राइट सोशियोलॉजी, यू हैव टू अप्लाई पर्सपेक्टिव. बार बार मैं कहता हूं कि यू हैव टू राइट सोशियोलॉजी, नॉट करंट अफेयर्स. नहीं होगा, मार्क्स नहीं आएगा अगर केवल करंट अफेयर्स लिख दिए फैक्ट्स तो, ठीक है ना. सो दिस इज ओके. मोर क्वेश्चंस. सोशियोलॉजी ऑप्शनल के लिए बिगिन कैसे करना है, कैसे नोट्स बनाना है. अब दिस इज वेरी सब्जेक्टिव क्वेश्चन. दिस इज वेरी सब्जेक्टिव क्वेश्चन. जिसने भी पूछा है सोशियोलॉजी ऑप्शनल के लिए बिगिन कैसे करना है, प्लीज ओरिएंटेशन क्लास होगा मेरा यूट्यूब पे, जस्ट गो थ्रू दैट ओरिएंटेशन क्लास, हाउ टू बिगिन सोशियोलॉजी, है ना. एंड नोट्स कैसे बनाना है. एनी टॉपिक हैज सम डायमेंशंस, है ना. जैसे for example, one topic, historical materialism. So dimension, what is historical materialism? From where did he borrow the concept? From where did Marx borrow the concept of historical materialism? What are the basic premises of historical materialism? Then stages of historical materialism, isn't it? Materialistic history का जो stages है. Then its criticism and finally its relevance. तो इस sequence में हमें notes बनाना चाहिए, topic को समझना चाहिए. Paper 2 का topic लेते हैं अगर, जैसे if we take one topic from paper 2, जैसे land reform. So what is land reform? What are the objectives of land reform? What are the forms of land reform? Its different perspectives on land reform, sociological perspective on land reform, limitations and recent initiative. So 5-6 dimension में we have to understand the topic and make notes, right? So this is okay. Good luck. This is all for today. And after a break, 15 days after my surgery, I took this discussion feeling happy, being one-on-one with you all, right? Okay, good luck. Sai bless you all. I will be available on phone. Good luck.